ഹായ്, എല്ലാവർക്കും ആനക്കാര്യം ചേനക്കാര്യം പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം. എൻ്റെ പേര് തനു കുര്യൻ. ഇവിടെ എൻ്റെയും നിങ്ങളുടെയും ചെറുതും വലുതുമായുള്ള അനുഭവങ്ങൾ, താല്പര്യങ്ങൾ, യാത്രകൾ, പരിഗണനകൾ, അതായത് ചോയ്സസ് എന്നിവ പങ്കിടാം. ആഫ്റ്റർ ഓൾ, എൻ്റെയും നിങ്ങളുടെയും നിറമുള്ള കഥകളുടെ കൂട്ടുചേരലാണല്ലോ ജീവിതം. ചിലപ്പോൾ ഒരാളുടെ ജീവിതം മറ്റൊരാൾക്ക് ആത്മവിശ്വാസം പകരാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞേക്കാം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരാളുടെ അനുഭവങ്ങൾ മറ്റൊരാളുടെ പ്രത്യക്ഷതകൾക്ക് ഉണർവുണ്ടാക്കാം. ഓർ somebody's choices മറ്റൊരാളുടെ ജീവിത യാത്രകൾക്ക് പുതു ആശയങ്ങൾ നൽകാം. ഇതൊന്നുമില്ലെങ്കിൽ മറ്റൊരാളുടെ ജീവിതത്തിലേക്ക് ആ കിളിവാതിലിലൂടെ ഒരു എത്തി നോട്ടം. ഹായ് Anugraha, വെൽക്കം ടു ആനക്കാര്യം ചേനക്കാര്യം. താങ്ക് യു ഈ സമയം ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി മാറ്റി വെച്ചതിന്. ആൻഡ് ഓൾസോ സിംഗപ്പൂർ ആൻഡ് UK ടൈമിംഗ് ഒക്കെ എല്ലാം അഡ്ജസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്ത് താങ്ക് യു വെരി മച്ച്. അനുഗ്രഹ ഉന്നികൃഷ്ണൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എനിക്ക് കുറേ വർഷം മുമ്പേ അറിയാം. അനുഗ്രഹ വി നോൺ ഈച്ച് അതർ ഫ്രം 20s ഐ തിങ്ക്. അനുഗ്രഹ ഒരു മിസ് ഇന്ത്യ contestant ആണ്, പിന്നെ മോഡലായിരുന്നു. ഓൾസോ ഇപ്പം യോഗ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. സിംഗപ്പൂരിലാണ് താമസിക്കുന്നത്, ലൈക്ക് ഐ സെഡ് ബിഫോർ. ആൻഡ് അവിടെ യോഗ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. ആൻഡ് ഈ ഡ്യൂറിങ് ദ പാൻഡമിക് ഓൺലൈൻ പഠിപ്പിക്കാനും ഒക്കെ പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതിൻ്റെ കൂടെ ഐ തിങ്ക് യു ആർ ഓൾസോ വോളണ്ടിയറിങ് അല്ലേ? യു ഡിഡ് സം വോളണ്ടിയറിങ് ഡ്യൂറിങ് ദ പാൻഡമിക് ടൈം ടു ഹെൽപ്പ് ഔട്ട്. അപ്പം കുറേ ആസ്പെക്ട്സ് ഉണ്ട് ദാറ്റ് യു ആർ വർക്കിംഗ് ഓൺ. സോ ഐ ഫീൽ ലൈക്ക് അനുഗ്രഹയുടെ ലൈഫിൻ്റെ ജേർണി വിൽ ബി വെരി ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ് ഫോർ ദ ലിസണർ ടു ഹിയർ അബൌട്ട്. അപ്പം നമുക്ക് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നതിൽ അനുഗ്രഹ പറയാമോ what your life was from childhood to now? What was your life? ആരായിരുന്നു ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ് ചെയ്തത്? എന്തായിരുന്നു ആ ജേർണി ഫോർ യു?
ലൈഫ് അത്രയ്ക്കൊരു സ്പെഷ്യൽ ലൈഫിലായിരുന്നു. ഇറ്റ് വാസ് വെരി സിമ്പിൾ മിഡിൽ ക്ലാസ് അപ്ബ്രിങ്ങിങ് ആയിരുന്നു. ബട്ട് മൈ പേരൻസ് വർ വെരി വെരി ഓപ്പൺ ടു ലെറ്റ് us do what we wanted. ആ സമയത്തിൽ ഐ എം തിങ്കിങ് 80s 90s they always let us try. So that way I think we just got so much more because they let us explore and find things. But otherwise my sister and me, we went to, it was just school back. I didn't play too much sport in school, was whatever was compulsory. That was it. And then 10th was Sacred Hearts, plus 2 Baldwinsle, pinne college Jyotinivas college larno. Baldwinsle I met MS Sridhar, a choreographer, and then of course the modeling bug.
അപ്പത്തൊട്ടായിരുന്നു മോഡലിംഗ് ചെയ്തിരുന്നത് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ
ഒരു സ്കൂൾ ഷോ ആയിരുന്നു തന്നു. ഇറ്റ് വാസ് ശ്രീധർ വാസ് ഡൂയിങ് കൊറിയോഗ്രഫി ഫോർ നമ്മൾ ബോൾവിൻസിൻ്റെ ആനുവൽ ഡേ ഷോന്ന്. ദെൻ ഇമ്മീഡിയറ്റ്ലി ആഫ്റ്റർ ദാറ്റ് ഒരു പതി സിൽക്സിൻ്റെ ഷോ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ദെർ വാസ് സം ഗേൾ, ഐ കാൺട്ട് റിമെമ്പർ ഹൂ ഇറ്റ് വാസ്, ഹൂ ഡ്രോപ്ഡ് ഔട്ട് ലാസ്റ്റ് മിനിറ്റ് ആൻഡ് ശ്രീധർ കോൾഡ് മീ. And what started off as extra pocket money and fun, and of course my parents didn't say no. So what started like that became, I think, one of the best phases of my life.
അപ്പം സോ ഈ മോഡലിംഗ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നപ്പം what do you say, പണ്ടൊക്കെ നേരത്തെ, ഇപ്പം ഐ തിങ്ക് ഇറ്റ്സ് ബിക്കം a different phase. നമ്മളെല്ലാം everything in life moves a lot അല്ലേ? അപ്പം ആ സമയത്ത് how was the industry? Did you feel comfortable in it? Were there issues that you feel that, I don't know if you are still connected with that industry now also? And if you feel the change?
Connected as in because I have friends in the industry. A lot of them from then who are still modeling or connected in some way. Or friends' children who are in the industry now, right? But it's definitely different. It's more streamlined. I think there's more professionalism. Not like there wasn't professionalism then, but it was more like a family. It was like a mom and pop, like now they say mom and pop store. It was more like that. They call, we'd say, okay, we are in. നമ്മളൊക്കെ ഒരു ബസ്സിൽ ഇരുന്നിട്ട് ചെന്നൈ പോവാ, ബസ്സിൽ ഇരുന്നിട്ട് കോയമ്പത്തൂർ പോവാ, then everyone in one bus, sometimes in a car. It was just like that, and we never thought otherwise. It never crossed our mind that, oh, why are we doing this, why are we not? And oru bus illa, adu oru private van. But it was great. We loved it. I made some of my closest friends there. We're still in touch.
അപ്പോൾ ഒരു ഫൺ ഫാമിലി എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് ആയിരുന്നു അല്ലേ?
Of course, of course. Even work in Bombay it was just like this. Maybe a little more streamlined from Bangalore, but it was just the same. It's very different now. I'm glad, because a lot of people say like work is more streamlined and they're managed by someone. There was nothing.
അപ്പം വുഡ് യു സേ ബിക്കോസ് ഈ മോഡലിംഗ് ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയിൽ എസ്പെഷ്യലി നമ്മൾ മോഡലിംഗ് പിന്നെ ആക്ടിങ്ങിലൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ കുറേ കേൾക്കാറുണ്ട്. ഈവൻ നോട്ട് ജസ്റ്റ് ഇൻ ഇന്ത്യ ബട്ട് ഹോളിവുഡ് അവിടെയൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ കേൾക്കാറുണ്ട് ആൾക്കാർ ടോക്കിംഗ് അബൌട്ട് മാനേജിങ് ഡിപ്രഷൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഹാവിങ് കോൺഫിഡൻസ് ഇഷ്യൂസ്. ഓൾസോ ഈവൻ ഐ കാൻ't say bullying but some sort of issues where they felt manipulated or used. But would you say you were lucky that you didn't have to go through it, and that is...
I don't know, I was definitely very lucky. I didn't. Also, if you see confidence in the issue, overconfidence at that point. I mean, it's I don't know, maybe I just felt like there was nothing to lose, I guess. I don't know what it was. Also, a lot of it I think goes to my parents. I'm not saying like they gave us everything we wanted, but at least the confidence was there. So maybe because of that I thankfully didn't battle other things. Also maybe times were different and we didn't know better. I don't remember a single incident where I felt bullied or violated. That I did not. I'm not sure, I won't talk for other people, but I haven't even heard. Like I remember Sridhar firing us if we didn't do something, but it was because he knew what our potential was. I remember him screaming now, and it didn't cross our mind that why is he talking like that? He should not talk. Stuff like that. But now that could be a problem. Right now it becomes verbal abuse, right? Emotional. Maybe it's correct, I don't know, but it never crossed my mind. Like it never once, like even now on hindsight, it came up. In fact, when we all met up and Sridhar was there and we were all laughing about it. This was in June 2019. We all met on Om's terrace and we were laughing about it, and Sridhar was making fun about how he'd fire me so much and I'd be like a block of stone, nothing's getting into my head kind of thing, right? And then someone actually said, and you were okay with it. And I thought about it, didn't matter. Honestly, or maybe it's because times were different and we didn't know better. But even now when I think back in the past, I don't feel like there was any violation.
I mean, you can say that one part is because of your parents, the kind of confidence they instilled in you, and the kind of
maybe
your own self-worth you knew, and you knew that you could push boundaries and do things. Appa adugonda aa feeling konde you
pushing boundaries adu nan cheyidittundu.
അത് എങ്ങനെ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്?
Just like stuff like I mean, when you say rebel without a cause, was and am, I guess I'll always be. Like I remember my mom, how moms would be like, but I'd be like, why? And then she'd be like, because I say so. And then I would do it, right? But my dad would give me the worst excuse. He'd be like, because nothing connected. I'd be like, Shari, I won't do it. Right? So it was one of those things. And I feel like even 45 years old, but know how some habits die hard, it's still kind of the same. Like it's like okay, but I can see that in my daughter. But because of experience, I play her like my father played me. Never say because I say so. I'll give her the longest story. Somewhere in between, she's so bored, she's like, okay.
അപ്പൊ ലോജിക് കൊണ്ട് കൊന്നു.
ലോജിക് എന്താ ലോജിക്? നോ ലോജിക്.
അപ്പം അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഈ മോഡലിംഗിന്റെ ഇത് കൊണ്ടായിരുന്നു മിസ് ഇന്ത്യയിലോട്ട് കയറാൻ പറ്റിയത്. ആൻഡ് അത് എങ്ങനെയിരുന്നു ആ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് മിസ് ഇന്ത്യ പോയിട്ട്?
It was amazing. I made two of my closest friends there. Sandhya Rani and I became like a tight knit, which was I loved it. Noinika and us became very close, still in touch. Hemant Trivedi, of course, still in touch. In fact, I spoke to him 2 days ago.
അപ്പം മിസ് ഇന്ത്യക്ക് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് എങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു?
Whatever fitness ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു, ബാംഗ്ലൂരിൽ സന്തോഷ് and Anu was there, aerobic, they were called figurine fitness. Everyone went there. Pinne, there was of course Sridhar helping us. Clothes wise, Aarti Chandrasekhar, I know she was a friend, she was a designer, so she made me some things. But otherwise, really, there was not much. I mean, it was the first year that the company, Femina itself, took us for a month to train us. It had never happened before. So the grooming happened at that point, where Noina and Hemant trained us for a whole month. And Pinay, I think it was Mickey Mehta who was in charge of fitness for us that time. So for a whole month, they kept us in Bombay and trained us. And then it was that year that every sub-event happened in a different state.
Right.
And there were 10 sub-events. It never happened after that. I think they decided to cancel. 10 sub-events happened. There was a sub-event for everything. It was good fun though. We just went from one state to another, from Chandigarh to Chennai to Bangalore. It was good.
Yeah, you didn't know.
Calcutta, I remember Calcutta.
You didn't know the background work that we had to do.
I know. I can imagine. I remember Bharat firing us. I can't remember where it was. I think we had left Bangalore. We were going somewhere from Bangalore. I can't remember. And as always, we were lagging. 3 of us were like dragging, and he actually I remember it was leaving from Bangalore. It was like, what are you all doing? Do you have any idea how much work is going in here?
Yeah. So did you feel it, South Indian girls and the North Indian girls difference ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നോ എന്താ പറയുന്നത് അവരുടെ ഒരു ആറ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡും ഒക്കെ ആയിട്ട്?
There was the North Indian girls, South Indian girls, പിന്നെ Bombay girls ആയിരുന്നു.
ഓ അത് ശരി, ബോംബെ വേറെ ഒരു ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ആയിരുന്നു.
Bombay girls ആയിരുന്നു. The Bombay girls and South Indian girls maybe were okay. But that was the one time that somewhere I felt that there was a little this thing. Because the North Indian girls were like, okay, we are from the north. Or, the whatever, Delhi, Chandigarh, I don't know. But something happened, and I remember Beautiful Skin. I can't remember who won Beautiful Skin. Fleur Xavier. Fleur, I don't know. And she had very good skin. But I came in a close second, and someone actually said, Kali Billi kaise aage udhar?
Oh my god. ഇപ്പൊ അത് പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ അതൊരു സ്കാൻഡൽ ആയിരുന്നേനെ.
Exactly. I laughed about it. I said Kali, Billy, whatever. But
how did that make you
Rani
feel?
And I laughed. Actually, like I said, must have been overconfidence. I laughed. I actually laughed. It wasn't like she was hiding it and saying it, whispering to someone, right? I was walking past and she said, Kali, Billy, ku second. I mean, kaise? Like, it wasn't like they announced me second, but you know how when the scores come, you see. So it was like a very close second kind of thing. And she actually said that. I mean, it was, at that time, Rani and I were like, Rani was like, she called you Kali Billy. Imagine what she'll say to me. And then I remember Sandhya sitting there and saying, it's like she actually said in Tamil, she said, they must have, they don't know the word to say Kanja Pona Karvad, That's why they're saying this.
Oh my god. But anyway, you have amazing skin, so it's really...
Thank you. I think other genetic. That is genetic. Amanda skin is... I don't have her peaches. We became the Kali Billies. We don't have her peaches and cream complexion, but...
പക്ഷെ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു the most important thing ഒരാൾക്കുള്ളതെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഗുഡ് സ്കിൻ. ഇറ്റ് ഡസൻ മാറ്റർ വാട്ട് കളർ ഇറ്റ് ഇസ്. അതിൻ്റെ ആ സ്കിൻ നല്ലതാണെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ് ഡസൻ മാറ്റർ അറ്റ് ഓൾ.
Nothing matters.
And so
I feel like somehow that becomes there's a little confidence boost also, I feel.
Yes.
Maybe, right? It's just... I don't know so much as you get older, but I can see it with the younger kids. Like, I mean, my daughter, my niece... It's really important, and I don't undermine it, and I don't even belittle it. Like, as soon as they complain, I make sure we're listening, because whatever they're going through. But yeah, like you said, skin is okay, then everything is.
Yeah. And appa other would you say is because if now that you're doing yoga also adinte benefit mundo, and what about your diet etc. Appa me yoga il engane interest vannadu?
Actually, and Amma, she had told me, I think just as I got married, she said, "Nee oru prandiya, yoga cheyadengli, I won't let you get pregnant." And I was like,
adenda?
I don't need to do yoga to get pregnant, you know that, right? She said, don't talk to your mother like that. What is wrong with you? I'm like, no, I'm just telling you. But I was just, I think, just really, short on temper. My pain threshold was 0. I guess it came from that. I was always all over the place. So I guess from there, she, wanted me to figure something out. And that's how I went to my first yoga class, actually. There was a teacher in Bangalore called Javed. I think he was Irani, but he had lived there for some time. I think the best teacher I've ever had. I've had some amazing teachers through the time, but Javed is the one who sowed that seed for me.
Yeah.
Of course, there was Javed. I met him, started the class, never looked back. And I think within the first few weeks, Javed told me that, he said, you will teach. I know you will teach. Because I questioned everything. Everything we did, I questioned. I still question. But everything, I questioned him so much at every point that I guess he figured. He must have been definitely more evolved than a lot of us.
So that you wanted to know posture
everything was endina, why, huh? A muscle, enda joint, why not?
Yeah.
I questioned everything.
So it germinated. Even if you didn't, ഒരു ഇതില്ലായിരുന്നു പഠിക്കാൻ പോയതാ കാം ചെയ്യാൻ പോയതാ അതൊക്കെ പക്ഷെ ജാവേദ് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടാണോ ആ ഐഡിയ ഒന്ന്
maybe somewhere it must have been in the back of my mind, Javed saying that then right through my pregnancy I did class with Javed. In fact, even the day before I had Kiara, I was in class. Javed was putting me in inversions. I was in headstands, assisted headstands till my 7th month, where then I got really big in my belly, so my center went off. Till then I wasn't so big, and I was comfortable, right? He knew my practice. He knew exactly how. In fact, I do the same thing with my prenatal clients. I'm not the kindest prenatal yoga teacher, unless of course it's a precious pregnancy and you're going through something. Like they always call me the tough prenatal teacher. But for me, being pregnant is not a disease. It's you're okay unless, of course, you need some special care. So just the way Javed treated me, and I treat most of my pregnant people, and very proud to say I've had many go through class with me, which is amazing. It's one of my favorite classes to teach. But the seed was definitely... now that you're saying it, I never thought of it like that. I never thought of it's never crossed my mind. But maybe you're right. Javed sowed that seed.
Yoga chedo, you were saying that pregnancy sametum yoga chedo and handstand chedo, is it medically
handstands? I was doing headstands. It's possible. Headstands. If you've practiced before, if it is a part of your practice, it's okay. Your body knows it. If you have no contraindications in your pregnancy, it is okay. Which is why I fought with a whole lot of people. Anushka Sharma in pregnancy lower headstand picture it on Instagram with Virat Kohli assisting her and against a wall. Now I've seen her practice before. She's come to the studio in Bombay. This is many years ago. She has a very strong practice, like very, very strong practice. Of course, and she's training with Afa, who is a superb teacher, Afa. So it was an online class, I guess, and she had put a picture of her headstand and very clearly contraindications. Mostly in there are contraindications, unless you've practiced before. If if it's part of your practice, doctor clears you. So much flack. In fact, teachers I know were posting saying because of people like this is what happens, this, that, and I fought that because I put so many of my students in a headstand because I know their practice. I'm standing there with them. The doctor has cleared them. It is okay. But everyone wants to have an opinion. Yeah, but so having said that, it was okay. It was great. Like I said, the day till my 7th month, I was comfortable. Then my belly got much bigger. So, and then it was not so comfortable. So, of course, we took it off. But he never put me in a separate class, like in a prenatal class. There was no concept. Apo in that concept, prenatal, I don't know, what was it called? Lamas class, yes. Hospital. Yeah, but there was nothing else. But so I just went to a regular class and he would modify some poses for me. And it worked. As in,
അത് ഐ തിങ്ക് ഐ ഡോണ്ട് നോ ഐ നെവർ ഡൺ യോഗ. ഇന്ത്യയിൽ ഞാൻ മേ ബി കൊച്ചിലെ വല്ലതും ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരിക്കും, ബട്ട് ഐ നെവർ ഡൺ യോഗ. ഇവിടെ വന്ന് ഞാൻ ആദ്യം യോഗ ചെയ്ത് വാസ് എനിക്കൊരു വൈറ്റ് ഇൻസ്ട്രക്ടർ ഞങ്ങളുടെ ജിമ്മിൽ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ പോയിട്ട് യോഗ ചെയ്ത്. അപ്പം ആദ്യമേ ഇറ്റ് വാസ് വെരി ഫണ്ണി ബിക്കോസ് നമസ്തേ എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു. പിന്നെ ചൈൽഡ് പോസ്.
എൻ്റെ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ ഒരു നമസ്തേ ഇല്ല.
അതുകൊണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ വേറെ കുറെ ആൾക്കാർ എന്താ പറയുന്ന ശാന്തി ഒക്കെ പറയുമായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ അതൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ് എനിക്ക് ഇടയ്ക്ക് ഭയങ്കര ചിരിയൊക്കെ ആയിരുന്നു. ബട്ട് ഐ ഡോണ്ട് മൈൻഡ് ദറ്റ്.
You get used to it.
But the thing is that instructor ആദ്യം പറയും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന അവിടെ വരെ ചെയ്താൽ മതി, ബാക്കി ആൾക്കാർ ചെയ്യുന്നത് നോക്കില്ലേ. അപ്പം ഐ ഡോണ്ട് നോ അങ്ങനെയാണോ ഇന്ത്യയിൽ പഠിപ്പിക്കുമ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു, അല്ലെ ഇന്ത്യയിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ കാലിവിടെ വെക്കണം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് അവിടെ തന്നെ വെക്കണം അങ്ങനെ?
Different teachers. ഒരു ടീച്ചർ അങ്ങനെ പറയും, the next one is different. I trained in India. My advanced teacher training and everything happened in India. Lots of my favorite teachers, in fact, Deepika Mehta, Indians are. But what I got lucky with, at that point, I mean, I even did classes with some of the BKS Iyengar teachers where that is the instruction. If you can't reach, block use cheyanam, illengi rope use cheyanam. There's no way. Ingene, that is it. But that is their way of teaching. It works, right? It has worked for a lot of people in their style. I can do I might last an Iyengar class maybe a week. So every time Namala Rishikesh Yoga Festival, International Yoga Festival happens there. So every year, Urai Chana, we are there. Now that week I can manage an Iyengar class. After that, no. Because it's just like I said, must be the rebel in me. I know alignment is a very big part of yoga, but personally for me when I teach or even when I practice, it is what my right leg can do, your right leg maybe can never do. I'm not talking flexibility here. I'm not even talking about strength here. I'm talking about skeletal variation. Right? Maybe some bone might hit another bone quicker for you than for me. And that's my take. Like I keep telling people, for me, every student who walks into my class is my new teacher training manual. Because one is not the other, right? So every teacher training, like even when I train in India and I upgrade under teacher training every year, unfortunately now 2 years I haven't been able to go to my teachers. It's just to learn something new so I can change the way I teach. And I've never had, it's not shameful for me to come back and say I was telling you this before but I've learned otherwise. Ipo other venda, let's try this way and see if it works for you. So for me, it's just about the evolving my way of teaching, because I know there are some things that some skeletons will not do in this lifetime unless you shave the bone, correct? So then how do you do it? Like there's some people, I kept thinking before that my husband can't lift his hand because he's tight here. And I would say, okay, go wider, pull back. And then I realized that one bone is hitting the other bone. So he's never going to go like in a straight arm. It's not going to happen for him. Because how? But then that's only come with time and learning and me willing to change. If you ever, which you should, ever come to class with me, you'll always get at least 5 options, which is why I feel, like teacher says, don't look at the next mat. But we are human beings. We like competition.
Exactly.
We like staring. One of my teachers always say, don't do Vachasana in this class. No Vachasana. Do whatever else. But because you have multi-level classes, right? You have a new person, you'll have a person who's seasoned. You have to find your spot. But for me, it is, my yoga is everything. It is just, I love it. I can't explain to you how much joy it gives me.
It is like that. I mean, because അങ്ങനെയല്ലേ ചില ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ക്രിക്കറ്റ് കളിക്കാനോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ചില ആൾക്കാർക്ക് വണ്ടി ഓടിക്കാനോ ചില ആൾക്കാർക്ക് യോഗ, അതാണ് അവരുടെ എക്സലറേഷൻ അവിടുന്നാണ് വരുന്നത്. അപ്പം just going back to the yoga bit, so ഈ യോഗ പ്രഗ്നൻസിയുടെ സമയത്ത് ചെയ്തിട്ട് did that make a difference for you? അപ്പം ഡെലിവറി സമയത്ത് was it easier for you or?
Much easier. I don't know, എനിക്ക് ഈ യോഗ ചെയ്തിട്ട് that I became calmer, or just maybe it was maternal instinct that made me calmer. I mean, I'm choosing to believe that the yoga really worked because you hear it works. And right now I have experience, but at that time I wasn't sure. I was still maybe or apprehension in that. Like when people said, oh, you did yoga, that's why. But I wasn't sure. Honestly, that was my honest opinion then. Now maybe I know otherwise. It was much easier. I was a lot calmer. I went into labor early morning and I was fine. Actually, I was fine. I recuperated really quickly. I recovered pretty fast, actually. I was active very quickly after. I don't think my mother will say that I was calmer or my temper got lesser. But she still keeps saying, ninnikku thaleke vatta. But what is there? No, I can't help it.
അതിപ്പം ഒരു പാർട്ട് ഓഫ് യു ആയി പോയി, അത് ഇനി മാറ്റാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല. അത് മാറ്റിയ പിന്നെ അനുഗ്രഹ ആകത്തില്ല.
Correct. I have to tell her that.
That will be. അത് പിന്നെ ഒരു ഇതും ഇല്ല, ഒരു ഫണ്ണും ഇല്ല പിന്നെ അനുഗ്രഹ മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട്. ആ പേഴ്സൺ മേ ബി കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ്. യോഗ അപ്പം യു വിൽ സേ ഈസ് സംതിങ് ദാറ്റ് എല്ലാവർക്കും ചെയ്യാം, ചിൽഡ്രൻ, വുമൻ, എല്ലാവർക്കും ചെയ്യാം. ആൻഡ് അതെങ്ങനെ
എനി ഏജ്,
അതപ്പം നമ്മളെ എങ്ങനെയാണ് ബെനിഫിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്? പ്ലസ് ഒരു കാര്യമുണ്ട്, അത് നമ്മൾ ചെറുതിലേ ചെയ്യുന്നതാണോ നല്ലത്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ യു ക്യാൻ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് അറ്റ് എനി ടൈം ഇൻ യുവർ ലൈഫ്?
You can start at any time. Something is better than nothing. Better late than never. Whatever you want to take. Also, I teach yoga. That's why I'm going to talk about yoga. I'm not going to talk about other things. But I believe any exercise, if you can get movement, then so be it. Like I know my sister doesn't like, she hates yoga. She cannot. Maybe for me, because it's me, when she's here, Sharine in the class, I'll come. My husband doesn't do yoga. He runs, but it gives him so much joy running. He runs and he plays tennis. Once in a way, he'll come to a class. If I'm doing a passive stretch class, he will come, say, okay, hamstring. My daughter doesn't do, but everyone does some kind of physical activity. In fact, my mother-in-law, who was a hardcore gym person, when I first finished my teacher training, she's like, oh, pavamale, I'll go to her class. She hated yoga. Now she does it 6 days a week. And she does a very strong practice. She'll be 70 years in September, and she does an Ashtanga practice 6 days a week. Which is, my sister-in-law again never liked yoga, again came to first class, oh, my family, we'll give her some support. And they've all changed. So it can be any age. It would be good if we could introduce it in schools, school level. I think it will help children because they're more pliable, they are more accepting. But I don't know if that's going to happen in schools, but at any point. If you can't get most days of the week, once a week, start somewhere. Just some kind of exercise. Exercise releases, happy hormones. It reduces, it's, been proven to reduce anxiety and stress. Muscle tone. Let's keep it simple and physical. Weight loss. If, that's the biggest selling point of any exercise, right? Weight loss. Makes you look younger.
Absolutely.
Increases brain power and memory, if that's what you want to use to sell.
But yoga അങ്ങനെ വെയിറ്റ് ലോസ് എന്നായിട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമോ? ബിക്കോസ് അതൊരു, ഐ ഫീൽ ലൈക്ക് ഇറ്റ്സ് എ ലോങ് പ്രോസസ്സാണ്.
It's a long one. Long process and also slow process But slow process is better than no process.
That's right. അത് ശരിയാ.
Also, any form of exercise, I believe, whatever form of exercise you do, to what you eat. I'm not saying starve. I mean, I definitely, I'm not one of those who, I'm careful now that I'm older, much more careful than I was when I was younger. But it is 70 to 30. 70% is diet and 30% is your exercise. So even if you're careful, I'm not saying, even if you're mindful, let's use the correct word, mindful of what you're consuming, you will be okay. If weight is an issue, if you're looking at weight as an issue, then watching what you consume as opposed to thinking about how much exercise, because you can run 5 kilometers and if you're going to consume 3 times the number of calories, then it's not going to show, and then we get dejected or depression that nothing is working. But lots of times what we don't understand, fridge torka shari or chocolate, korch chips, korch, it's just small little.
അത് വഴി പോകുമ്പോൾ ഒരെണ്ണം ഒന്ന് ഒരു
and then everyone makes rice the villain. ചോറ് കഴിക്കില്ല, ചോറ് വേണ്ട. But that's not so bad. It's okay. How much and when, maybe, I mean, I'm not a nutritionist, so I cannot comment. I have figured what's working for me and I stay with it. People say don't eat carbs. Both my husband and I definitely in the afternoon need our carbs. I can't survive. It gives me my energy to teach and to do whatever I have to do. So it works for me. Now, I don't know if it works for the next person. I can't say. But it keeps me happy, so which is why I think exercise is important.
Because you said കൊച്ചു പിള്ളേരെ എക്സസൈസ് പഠിപ്പിക്കണം. ഐ റിമെമ്പർ ദാറ്റ് വെൻ ഐ വാസ് യങ് എനിക്ക് കൊച്ചതായിരുന്നപ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ എനിക്ക് പുറയിൽ തലയുടെ പുറയിൽ വെക്കായിരുന്നു. അങ്ങനെ അത്രയും ഫ്ലെക്സിബിൾ ആയിരുന്നു. ഇപ്പം കാല് ഇവിടെ ഒരു കുറച്ച് തന്നെ പൊക്കാൻ ഭയങ്കര പ്രയാസം, ബിക്കോസ് എക്സസൈസ് ഒന്നും ചെയ്യത്തില്ല.
No, but in sometimes, but that means your skeleton can do it. Right? If you look at your skeletal variation, you can do it.
അത് വയറ് പോയാൽ ചിലപ്പം വരും, പക്ഷെ ആ വയറ് ഇസ് വേ.
വയറ് സൈഡിൽ വെച്ചിട്ട് കാല് പിന്നാലെ ഒരു മഫ്ലർ ആക്കി.
അപ്പം അതിൻ്റെ കൂടെ വരുന്നുണ്ട് ഹൈപ്പർ മൊബിലിറ്റി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പം ഞാനിപ്പം യോഗ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് യോഗ അത്ര വലിയ ഇഷ്ടമല്ല. എനിക്ക് പിലാറ്റീസ് കുറച്ചും കൂടെ ഇഷ്ടമാണ്. ഓൾദോ ഐ ഫൈൻഡ് ബോത്ത് ഓഫ് ദം വെരി സ്ലോ, ബട്ട് ഐ പ്രിഫർ Pilates over yoga.
Because of the hypermobility?
I think so, maybe. So, apam hypermobility ulla aalkar yoga cheyyumbam they have to be very mindful, ano?
Very careful. Because what I always say, in fact, one of my teachers told me this and I repeat it, being too flexible is a curse. You're more prone to injury. Because nammal flexible aambo, it's like, oh, enakku idu cheya, enakku adu cheya, ingane, angane. A mindfulness illa. Because if you're not flexible, you work slower, you take your time. When you're flexible, it's like, oh, ada, shari, ingane. Just anyway, without thinking of how you're going in, how you're coming out. More than going in this, how you're coming out of it. Like you see lots of times, oh, I can split. And then, oh, shari, I'll come out. And then you hurt yourself. A lot of times, it's the very flexible ones who are more prone to injury. If you're getting any kind of exercise, it has to be something you like, because then you will not make an excuse to go to class. Blow dry ayanam. In the paper vaikanam. I won't go to class. But if you like it, there will be no excuse. You will go. I always say you have to like the form of exercise, and it has to be close to either your workplace or your home. If you have to travel, again, you don't do it. Which is why now I'm teaching so much more. Because everything is online.
I agree.
A lot of people, I'm teaching, like I remember I've gone back to not teaching the weekends and public holidays, but last year it was crazy. Because from everywhere there were requests coming, and then I would feel bad to say no because everyone was going through something. And I taught more in the pandemic online than I have taught in my 12 years of teaching.
That actually is a really good example, because definitely even for us, ഞങ്ങളും ഇവിടെ എസ്പെഷ്യലി യു കെയിൽ നമ്മൾ ഒരു ദിവസം നോക്കുമ്പോൾ ഭയങ്കര മഴയത്ത് എങ്ങനെയാണ് ജിമ്മിൽ പോകുന്നത്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഭയങ്കര തണുപ്പത്ത് എങ്ങനെയാണ് ജിമ്മിൽ പോകുന്നത്. ചൂടാണെങ്കിൽ അയ്യോ അവസാനം സൺഷൈൻ വന്ന് നമ്മൾ കുറച്ചു നേരം പോയി പാർക്കിൽ പോയിരിക്കുക, എന്തിനാ ജിമ്മിൻ്റെ അകത്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ കുറേ എക്സ്ക്യൂസസ് ഉണ്ട്. പക്ഷേ ഇപ്പം പാൻഡമിക് വന്നപ്പം ഒരു എക്സ്ക്യൂസും ഇല്ല. രാവിലെ എണീച്ച് ഒന്നും ചെയ്യണ്ട, പല്ല് തേച്ച് നേരെ പോയി സൂം ഓൺ ആക്കിയിട്ട് അതിൽ എക്സസൈസ് ചെയ്താൽ മതി. അവിടെ ആരും നോക്കുന്നില്ല എന്തോ ചെയ്യുന്നത്, കുളിച്ചോ മുടി ചീവിയോ ഒന്നും ആർക്കും ഒരു ഇതും ഇല്ല. അപ്പം അങ്ങനെ ആയിരുന്നപ്പം കുറേയും കൂടെ എക്സസൈസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റി. അപ്പം ഡു യു തിങ്ക് ഇപ്പം അങ്ങനത്തെ ട്രെൻഡ് ആവുമോ? Will there be more online classes? Maybe not for the cardio ones, but maybe like the gyms and...
No, but Tanu, even a lot of the cardio ones, Zumba is happening online. I know HIIT training is happening online. A lot of people, like my house down right now is like a little mini gymnasium here with all Rajiv's weights. I have my aerial yoga set up at the back, right? So I just feel it's a possibility. I've been training with teachers from Try Yoga in the UK, which, I mean, on a regular basis I've been doing classes, and if the timing didn't work, they always send you a recording. So I've been training with some of the best teachers worldwide. I mean, Singapore is good because lots of international teachers are there, intensive training in there. So I learned a lot. But people in India, like my friends who are teachers in India, are getting access to this now because it works. So it just might be a really good thing, but I'm a very hands-on in-studio teacher. I still like that old school. But you have to, times are such.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
you have to move.
Shortly, hopefully, എല്ലാവർക്കും വാക്സിൻ ഒക്കെ കിട്ടിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ you can do a hybrid version, അല്ലേ? Online as well as face to face.
Right, in Singapore it is like that. Tanu, nammalde studio le, I teach online and in studio, in person simultaneously.
Okay, that's good.
Which has caused a lot of problem for most teachers in Singapore, because angle-wise, I'm trying to look at the class doing it. I'm trying to instruct you while you're on Zoom, so I'm looking at you and I'm demonstrating. So it's been causing a lot of trouble for a lot of teachers actually.
And how have you been coping with
managing. My shoulder got busted really bad, but that's an old injury or a prior injury. I have no shoulder that on and off. Some days are good, some days are bad, but it came back very bad this time. And so I just tapered the class down at that point, and then it's okay again. I managed. It's prior injury, so it became like I know how to manage it, and the kind of, and I figured it out. But it was, it took me a good 4 weeks. But then it's me. See, right now I broke my toe.
Ayo, how did you manage to break your toe?
I'm like this. That's what I'm saying. Oru chair class la irunnu. Oru chair irunnu da mutti tatti fracture aayi. So now oru running illa, I mean, there's not much demonstration again because the classes are tapered. So demonstration no left side la no right side demonstration.
അപ്പോൾ വീഡിയോ തിരിച്ച് മിററിൽ ബാക്കി ഇങ്ങനെ പടം എടുത്ത് റൈറ്റ് സൈഡിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ
എല്ലാരും actually, you haven't seen my setup. No, you haven't. I thought because there's a mirror in my setup.
ഞാൻ ചുമ്മാ പറഞ്ഞതാ.
No, എന്റെ സെറ്റപ്പില് ലിവിംഗ് റൂമിന്റെ സെറ്റപ്പില് മിറർ
ശരി,
വലിയ മിറർ.
അപ്പൊ അതിന്റെ അകത്ത് മറ്റേ സൈഡ് അവിടെ മിററിൽ നോക്കിയാൽ മതി.
Look that side.
അപ്പം ഇങ്ങനെ എന്നെ പോലത്തെ ആൾക്കാർ എക്സസൈസ് ഒക്കെ ചെയ്യാൻ എനിക്ക് ഭയങ്കര മടിയാണ്. ചിലപ്പോൾ ഒരു 2-3 മാസം കഴിയുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും പിന്നെ എൻ്റെ ജീൻസ് ഒന്നും ഫിറ്റ് ചെയ്യാത്തപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ അവർക്ക് കുറച്ച് എന്തെങ്കിലുമൊക്കെ എക്സസൈസ് ചെയ്യാം. അങ്ങനത്തെ ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ഇസ് ദർ 3 എക്സസൈസ് എല്ലാ ദിവസവും നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യാം, ബട്ട് ഓൾസോ ഗുഡ് ഇൻ ടേംസ് ഓഫ് toning your muscle and maybe reducing a little weight along with your diet. Can you
what I very highly recommend ellarikkum, if you can't do anything physically, you're able, will be Surya Namaskar.
അയ്യോ, ആ സാധനം എനിക്ക് ഭയങ്കര പ്രയാസം. അതെ, ഇങ്ങനെ കുനിഞ്ഞ് താഴെ വെച്ച് you have to jump back. No, I cannot jump back. I have
No, don't jump back. Endana cheyanda damn jump back.
Alla pinne
that first that is the ashtanga Surya Namaskars you're talking about. Jump back cheyanda, step back.
അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് സ്റ്റെപ്പ് ബാക്ക് ചെയ്തിട്ട് പിന്നെ when you step back forward also, I'm in a different position from where I started.
So like even mom doesn't jump any. I mean stopped jumping about 2-3 years ago. She'd step. But I teach a lot because a lot of times, like when my shoulder was bad, if I had to demonstrate, there was no way. Jump back, my arm would come out, right? Stepping back, it's better to modify than to compensate somewhere. Like modification is better than just doing something wrong. Modification is better than compromising the position. So modify as much. There's so many modifications available. I feel it's a top to toe exercise physically, purely physical. If you do, it's everything. You're working arms, back, legs, stomach, chest, every single muscle in the body, right? Joint, bone on bone compression, which is really good. And then if you want to go korchu depth, if once you know it, you're working your breath. Work with your breathing. So you coordinate one movement with one breath. So you're also working lung power. You're working, trying to keep in track with how you're moving. You're trying to stay there because you want to coordinate one movement and the breath. You're working with the length of your breath. You're trying to keep your breath equal or work on exhalations being longer, which means you're working on calming your parasympathetic nervous system. It kicks in there, right? Just small things like that. And then once the breath and the movement fall into place, it becomes like a moving meditation. So it's like doing everything together in one. I'm saying even you're talking about Ashtanga Surya Namaskar, Pina Hatha Surya Namaskars are also there, the old traditional school Hatha Surya Namaskars, which are quite simple also. Even that a lot of people can't do. Plank position, there's one thing called the Ashtanga Namaskaram, which is your knees, chest and chin going down. With a lot of people prefer to do a low plank instead of that. And this is supposed to be the easier one. So it just depends, I guess. Even if I'm saying the Hatha Surya Namaskars, if you start off with 6 sets, one right, one left, like 6, which is so simple, and then start building. If you're used to the Ashtanga ones, maybe Ashtanga A 5. Just keep it small. If our goal is small and then we build on it, I think it just is easier than saying, 1 hour exercise venam. Sometimes to find the 1 hour is not okay. You never get it. But if you say, okay, 10 minutes, let me just get 10 minutes in. And 10 minutes in a day if you can't give yourself then. And it's so easy to do 10 minutes. And then that 10 minutes usually, invariably, once you get into the flow, are 10 minutes, 15 minutes out, 20 minutes out. Okay, some days maybe you'll go longer. But I always say, okay, today I'll just do only Surya Namaskars. And then it ends up going into something else. I'll explore movement exploration. Then I'll try something else. Oh, teacher was doing this movement, let me try it. So it always starts from there. And then while I'm doing, if you have a yoga practice, and this I'm talking about people who have a stronger practice and have been practicing for a while you're doing those Surya Namaskars, you'll create your own sequences. And I always tell my students this. I just choose to believe I've equipped them with that much knowledge and information that they can find some ways to do it on their own. And a lot of them come and tell me, instead of this way, why don't you try this way? And sometimes that makes more sense. Because they're coming from a beginner mind, right? That beginner thinking. And I've forgotten that sometimes. Because you're always learning, you're thinking of the next tougher version of it and whatever. Sometimes I feel as human beings, we forget the beginner basic level. And they come back and that makes more sense. That makes so much more sense than, and I see them doing a movement which I learned when I was starting. And then I'm like, but this is the one that I need to do. And then bring it back in. So I guess it will just fall into place. For me, that's like an all-in-all workout.
Okay. You said 6 sets, right one and this thing, 2,
1 left. So it becomes about 12. It becomes 12, but it comes very fast.
അത് വേഗം ചെയ്യണം. എന്താ ബ്രെത്തിൻ്റെ കൂടെ ചെയ്യുവാണെങ്കിൽ അപ്പം ആദ്യം നമ്മൾ മൂവ്മെൻറ്റ് ശരിയാക്കുക, പിന്നെ അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് അതിൻ്റെ കൂടെ ബ്രെത്ത് ശരിയാക്കുക, then everything will fall into place.
Falls into place. Because otherwise you're trying to concentrate too much, like to coordinate our movement to breath. Then nothing falls into place. Then you're holding your breath and then it just feels very awkward.
I realize that sometimes നമ്മൾ പൊസിഷൻ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ suddenly you will read, instructor പറയും breathe എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ you will realize that you're actually holding your breath.
You're holding your breath. Yes. And lots of times our balancing pose are down. In balancing poses, I've noticed it happens.
Tree ഒക്കെ ചെയ്ത് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ ഡാൻസർ പോസ് ഒക്കെ ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും
dancer പിന്നെ warrior 3.
അയ്യോ
Warrior 3, I'm always holding my breath all the time. Warrior 3. God.
Now I'm feeling much better. You're a yoga instructor and you're holding your breath. പിന്നെ എനിക്കും അത് ചെയ്യാം.
No, I think that happens to everyone. It's just as human beings sometimes I feel like it's about that letting go doesn't happen. So you don't want to, if like when I teach children, lots of times avarake tara veerum and they'll be like ha 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 chirikkum idu adu, but adults can't do that. It becomes like an ego thing, like oh my god, why, oops. Then you're holding your breath. You don't want to like let it go, and we don't even realize that we're holding our breath.
True. I've seen one couple of people fall down on the street and then നമ്മൾ ഓടിച്ചെന്ന് അവരെ ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ ചെല്ലുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് അവർ വേണ്ട ഇറങ്ങി അങ്ങ് ഓടും. I mean you're not even sure വല്ലോ ഓടിഞ്ഞോ ശരിയാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു ഓടി, you're not even sure അത് വല്ലോ ഓടിഞ്ഞോ, did you hurt yourself somewhere. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ആ ഒരു എംബാരസ്മെന്റ് ഉണ്ടല്ലേ, നമ്മൾ അയ്യോ താഴെ വീണു. But it could have been genuinely for a fault. കാണാതെ എവിടെയോ ട്രിപ്പ് ചെയ്തതോ എന്തെങ്കിലും ആയിരിക്കും.
Yeah, correct.
അപ്പം that was very interesting. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ഒരു എക്സസൈസ് ആണെന്നോ പറയുന്നത് എല്ലാവർക്കും ചെയ്യാൻ, അതെങ്കിൽ വേറെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ അതിൻ്റെ കൂടെ ആഡ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട്, അല്ലെ ഇത് മാത്രം ചെയ്താൽ മതിയോ?
Okay, if we keep the yoga out of it, again depends for everyone, and this is for everyone. Let's keep the yoga out of it. Walk. I think walking is the best thing anyone can do. Honestly, just I know this whole 10,000 step thing is a big thing, but walking however much you can after every meal, 10 minutes, and that's actually become a habit for Rajiv and me. Most times after dinner it doesn't happen because we just end up just waddling and staring, but at breakfast and lunch, and weekdays we get maybe after dinner also, but started last year and we just continued. I don't know if it works, but at least I'm not even talking about 10,000 steps, but at least there's some, otherwise you eat and you're just sitting down, like you'd finish lunch and you sit down, we watch TV, and I did that, or I'd read my book even if it wasn't TV, or you just lie down, right? But just some little movement. So I think walking, if of course physically it permits you, then walk as much as you can in a day. Again, some cities walking is easy, like UK is amazing to walk, right? I mean, if the weather permits, maybe. Singapore is great to walk. It's very hot in the day, no doubt, which is why I began running in Singapore. I never ran before that, but I started running only after moving here. Now, I hated it before. I did it because as you get older, sometimes, metabolism drops, and I could see, my weight didn't stay off like it used to. That little creepy crawlies would keep coming in, kind of thing. So I started it because of that. I said, let's get something else to shock the body, and now I actually enjoy it. I go running at 4:55 in the morning every day.
Oh my God,
I
that's
leave
commitment.
At 4:55, yeah, and I love it. But I've always been a morning person. Tanu, I just love my mornings. I always woke up early. They'd be like, oh, Ratri Lodum. Again, it's always about being mad. So bloody in the middle of the night you're running. This, that. But I love it. I can't tell you how happy that early morning makes me. I used to do my yoga practice at 4:30 in the morning, actually. Earlier. Now, of course, because my shoulder bothers me, I do it a little later in the day. It just feels better. But otherwise, I like running in the morning. So I think if nothing is possible, you don't like yoga, walk. Start liking the walking. Find something, walk in your house. Now if you're in a lockdown, walk in the house. I know people in quarantine who come in and they have to do like their tour. Now it's 3-week quarantine. I know friends of mine who manage their 10,000 steps in that hotel room. It's just about getting that movement in, because otherwise you're locked in for so long, right?
I know. And it's crazy.
It's crazy, yeah. So walk.
അത് I agree with you, because നേരത്തെ we used to go ഇവിടുന്ന് you have to walk വീട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് സ്റ്റേഷൻ വരെ നടക്കണം, പിന്നെ ട്രെയിൻ എടുക്കണം. അത് പിന്നെ ചില സ്ഥലത്ത് UK എല്ലായിടത്തും എസ്കലേറ്റർ ഒന്നും ഇല്ല, അപ്പോൾ സ്റ്റെപ്പ് കയറണം, എന്നിട്ട് ട്രെയിനിൽ കയറണം. പിന്നെ ട്രെയിനിൽ നമ്മൾ എപ്പോഴും ഇരിക്കാനൊന്നും പറ്റത്തില്ല, പിന്നെ ട്രെയിനിൽ നിൽക്കണം. ആ നിൽക്കുന്ന തന്നെ I think your core you use because you're trying to
movement.
അപ്പോൾ അത് ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ അവിടെ നിന്ന് ഇറങ്ങി ഓഫീസിൽ വരെ നടക്കണം, അല്ലെ ഉച്ചയ്ക്ക് ലഞ്ച് വാങ്ങിക്കാൻ പോകണം, തിരിച്ചു വരണം. ആ ഒരു എല്ലാം കൂടെ ആഡ് ചെയ്ത് അതൊരു മേ ബി ഒരു 15-30 minutes മാക്സിമമേ ഉള്ളൂ ഫുൾ ഡേ വാക്കിംഗ്. അതിൻ്റെ ഡിഫറൻസ് നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. എന്താണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇപ്പം ലോക്ക്ഡൗൺ ആയിട്ട് വീട്ടിലിരുന്നിട്ട് സഡൻലി എല്ലായിടത്തും കൈയും കാലും ഒക്കെ വേദന എടുക്കുന്നു. പിന്നെ ആ വെയിറ്റ് വിച്ച് യു യൂസ് ടു നെവർ ഹാവ് ദാറ്റ് കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് വെയിറ്റ്, അതിപ്പോഴും has come on to you because you're not doing anything.
Yes. Correct. It's that regular movement that you always got. Right? Your body knows that movement. It's a regular movement. Which is why I always say make something a lifestyle. Like if it is walking, then you do the walking. Yeah, of course there's going to be a time maybe you can't do as much, but your body knows it. And you can do some form of it. Right? So the walking, I think, is, if you like I keep telling Raji, weight training, and when you're 70 and 75, is it going to be something that I hope you can do it if you love it so much, but at this intensity is not going to happen. But like the walking and the running will take you somewhere. Like the running will become walking, but so at least that is there to keep you mobile, to keep your body moving, keeping your mind sharp because of the oxygenation, keeping your bone health and your muscle tone and health. I'm not talking about being ripped or being skinny. I'm just talking about being healthy. I'm talking about fitness levels from a health point of view, as opposed to a size 0 point of view. I've never been that Miss India time. I was never, even when I modeled, I was always amongst the bigger girls, right? Maybe because of my shoulders. I remember Hemant Trivedi telling my mom-in-law when we went to do my clothes, he was like, "Auntie, this one has bigger shoulders than most of my male models." Okay, I hated it then, but over time I began loving it. It bothers me sometimes when there's some kind of dress I want to wear, and then sometimes the shoulders become too massive in it, so you don't. But I figured what I like, what I don't like, so it's okay. But so I was never amongst, because of the shoulders and the structure, I was never amongst the petite, skinny. I never came in our category. I was never there, right? That time it didn't matter. Now I don't know if this works, right? Because the girls are all much skinnier. But a lot of them are very, very strong, because I've trained a lot of them when I used to live in Bombay, and they're very, very strong girls. They might look thin, but so it's not, I just feel, being thin is one thing, but being strong is what is more important.
Yeah, absolutely. അപ്പം ഇതെല്ലാം ചെയ്തു, you're doing yoga and you've had all the mental well-being, അതൊക്കെ. What at the end of the day, what do you feel like you are giving back to society? Or is there anything that you're doing to give back to society? Adinu mumbe, one of the things that you did was, of course, COVID pandemic in edeke, you've been helping out and all those things. Appam aspect of your life,
honestly, that was really not like something that I would choose to say that I was giving back. It was just, and their friends in India were helping out a lot, and they were working through the day and night and doing so much. And when a friend of mine here lost her mum because just of the lack of medical care, mum was very fit, and just medical care she didn't get because we didn't get an oxygen cylinder. And I realized all my friends were doing so much, and sometimes you fail. So when I had the time, those couple of weeks, I said, I'll step in, because some of them you need to rest. So I said, give the load to me. Let me, it's not like I can, I live in another country, but at least I can sit here and verify. So many thousands of messages over if there oxygen in there, if there bed in there, people are running helter skelter. Then doctor other, at least I can verify. So what I would do is sit and verify everything for them, and then if someone needed something, I would make a connect. Yeah, you win some, you lose some. Sometimes we'd be able to get someone what they needed, and sometimes we'd get it and we were too late. And we saw a lot of that, which is it's horrific. It was a rough 2 or 3 weeks, because it wasn't just random people, it was people we knew who we lost. Like friends of ours lost parents, we lost friends. In fact, Rajiv lost a friend who's our age group in Bombay last week, and fit person, 44 years old, 30 days in hospital, didn't make it, right? Is it because he didn't have money? He had enough and more. But well, when time came, nothing worked, right? So I wouldn't say that was my way of giving back to society. It was just my way of helping my friends who were doing so much in their power, to do it. But if there's anything that I say, I don't know if I'd say giving back. It's just that, maybe keeping people fit and taking them through. I feel when people exercise, if they're going through something, it kind of helps. If you're going through something emotionally or even maybe physically, exercising kind of helps. Maybe that way I'm giving back. But otherwise, I do my little bit, but people do a lot more.
No, but like you said, എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു exercise ചെയ്യുന്നത് is a mental well-being in തന്നെ ഒരു boost ആണ്.
Especially ഈ pandemicന്റെ സമയത്തില്, I think it is just really important connecting, simply because everyone's alone, everyone's stranded somewhere. People are not seeing family, parents are separated from children, siblings are separated, from each other. Who knows? And we don't know when. I know people who haven't seen their parents, in fact, here for a year and a half, and now they've lost, one parent or two.
Yeah, and that is very, very
And what's
difficult.
sad is you don't even, there's no closure, right? Because you can't travel. There's been no funeral. Like if you talk about closure as human beings, we work so much on closure, on things, finding that closure. I'm hoping, people find the help they need and are able to move on or get, I don't know if they'll, you get over something like this, but find, ways to heal. You don't forget, but at least, just healing.
അതെനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് ഇസ് എ വെരി ലോങ് ജേർണി ബിക്കോസ് നമ്മൾ ലൈക്ക് യു സെഡ് കുറേ വർഷമായി ഒരു 1.5 വർഷത്തേക്ക് ആൾക്കാർ പേരൻസിനെ കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല, പിള്ളേരെ കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല. ആൻഡ് ദെൻ ആ ദൂരത്ത് നമ്മൾ ഇരുന്നിട്ട് യു ലോസ്റ്റ് യുവർ പേരൻറ്റ്, നമുക്ക് ട്രാവൽ ചെയ്യാനും പറ്റുന്നില്ല അങ്ങോട്ട് പോകാനായിട്ട്. ആൻഡ് ആ ഹോൾ പ്രോസസ്സ് most of the time നമ്മുടെ ആ ഫ്യൂണറൽ പ്രോസസ്സ് തന്നെ ചെയ്യുമ്പം ദാറ്റ്സ് our way of processing the whole information in our head and learning to accept it.
Yeah, emotionally accepting it.
Yeah, and we don't have that that we're doing. അപ്പം ഇത് കൊണ്ട് കുറേ ഈ പാൻഡമിക് കൊണ്ട് കുറേ പ്രോബ്ലംസ്,
like I keep telling
issues
people, there's going to be a lot of PTSD after this. A lot of people will be, but if it's like I said, if it's keeping it physical, and if that's the way I can help, then so be it.
So I think yoga and meditation will definitely help us at least center it and understand our emotions, and then continue to talk with our friends, friends and family.
Also, I think somewhere there's when you're talking, sometimes there's an acceptance that happens, right? Because you're communicating, and I think that communication plays a big part, definitely. Because as soon as we shut down is when we start festering. I feel like those are the ones that create, and I feel like a lot of that creates physical ailments, just shutting down.
Okay, so I think that was very interesting to hear, and എനിക്ക് ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ് ആയിരുന്നു. അപ്പം ഇനി ഞാൻ ട്രൈ ചെയ്യാം സൂര്യ നമസ്കാരം ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട്. ഐ വിൽ ട്രൈ ടു ലൈക്ക്
ചെയ്തിട്ട് വീഡിയോ അയക്കണം.
അയ്യോ, അത് ഒരിക്കലും ചെയ്തില്ല. പിന്നെ അത് യു വിൽ സീ വൺ ബിഗ് ബീച്ച് ട്രെയിൽ.
Or when I'm there in September.
That we can do. That then we'll keep our fingers crossed for that.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Anugraha. That was very nice.
Thank you, Tanu.
Thank you. നന്ദി കേട്ടുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നതിന്. അഭിപ്രായങ്ങൾ അറിയിക്കുമല്ലോ, ഒപ്പം നിർദ്ദേശങ്ങളും. സബ്സ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്യാൻ മടി വേണ്ട കേട്ടോ. ഷെയർ ചെയ്യാൻ മനസ്സ് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഒട്ടും താമസിക്കരുത്. ഷെയർ. വീണ്ടും ആന ചേനയോട് കഥ പറയുന്നത് കേൾക്കാൻ വരുമല്ലോ. അതാ ആനക്കാര്യം ചേനക്കാര്യം. വീണ്ടും കേൾക്കും വരെ മംഗളം.